Now get this. Last Wednesday, a woman walking in New York City discovered two bodies floating along the banks of the Hudson River. All right, you're saying that sounds interesting, but it's not a story we usually cover, right? It's not a national story. It's not an international story, right? So what makes the story of Rotana and Tala Farea different? The difference is these sisters are from Saudi Arabia and were found bound together in the bottom of the river with duct tape. We've been asking a lot of questions about this story, and as Lewis Carroll wrote in the Alice in Wonderland book, the story keeps getting curiouser and curiouser the more we look into it. RT producer Michele Greenstein is joining me now. She's the one who's been looking into it for us all day long. What have you found out, Michele?
Right, so this story overall is really interesting and kind of mysterious. As you just mentioned, these young women were found floating on a bank of the Hudson River in New York City. Their bodies were actually bound together with duct tape at their waists and ankles, and they were fully clothed. So at first, all police had to go off of were these police sketches, and for nearly a week they were not able to release the true identities of these young women to the public because they didn't have consent from the family. So the reason for that is because the younger of the two, Tala Farea, is 16 years old. She's a minor. Now, yesterday we learned the true identity of these young women, and what's really interesting about this story is both when and where they went missing. So they went missing actually last month. So the last time we saw them was August 24th, according to the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children. Where did they go missing? Fairfax, Virginia, some 200 miles away from where their bodies were discovered. And that's actually where this family has been living since 2014. Supposedly, they moved from Saudi Arabia to the U.S. to seek a better education.
Now, we understand that there may be some ties to the Saudi consulate somehow?
Yeah, so the day before these women were discovered, the mother actually received a call from the Saudi Arabian embassy telling her family to leave the country because she found out that her daughters had been seeking political asylum.
Okay, that's important. They were seeking political asylum, which means they were looking to stay in the United States with the protection of the U.S. government.
Correct. So we don't know whether or not that's a real connection, but it's definitely noteworthy. What we do know, though, and that we discovered yesterday, is that the medical examiner told the police that the girls actually entered the water alive.
What's interesting about this, and the reason by the way, we should mention to our viewers, and this is important, we talked about the story yesterday in the editorial meeting, and we decided not to go with it because we really didn't have enough information, and we certainly didn't want to play in that game of conjecture. However, law enforcement officials are now all over this story.
Correct.
And the fact that the Saudi Arabian government at this point in time, not just because of Khashoggi, but because everything else is going on, it makes us wonder whether this story may be somewhat more nefarious than just, this sounds horrible, but your typical double murder.
Right, so a lot of people are speculating that the Saudi government was involved. Others are speculating that the family itself was involved. At this point, we really don't know, and we're definitely going to be following this story. But the Saudi Arabian embassy put out a statement saying that the U.S. State Department and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia were working closely to determine what happened to these people, and they made it very clear that the causes of death were not yet determined. However...
Yeah, but I mean, I don't mean to interrupt, but my gosh, this is certainly not an accident.
Certainly not. Some people online...
Nobody ends up tied together with duct tape.
And at first people were like, oh, it's a suicide, but no. Just, there's no way that you could tie yourself to someone else. The medical examiner said that they were alive while entering the water. And it's really unclear at this point.
Finally, who's investigating this?
The NYPD is leading the investigation.
They have the jurisdictional...
Correct, but the Fairfax County Police Department is assisting them.
Thanks so much. Great job. Great story. Could you stay on it?
Interesting.
Let us know if there's anything new tomorrow.
I'll definitely follow up if something develops, for sure.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Michele.
Thank you.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.